You know how you go on Twitter sometimes and you see tweets along the lines of like, oh, the downfall of this person or this organization needs to be studied, right? I think the downfall of Jordan Poole actually does need to be studied.
No, it's crazy. Less than 2 years, he was an NBA champion. He got paid that massive deal by the Warriors and was kind of considered as the bridging point to the future of the Warriors. And now he's getting benched for the Washington Wizards.
Before we start talking about Jordan Poole, if you haven't already, make sure to leave this video a like, give us a subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on one of our videos. It is really crazy to think that only 2 years ago, Jordan Poole was considered like another Warriors success story. Like you said, he was going to be the guy that was going to bridge the gap from the Steph, Clay, Draymond era to whatever the next era of Warriors basketball was going to be. The Warriors picked him 28th out of Michigan. He didn't play a lot, his first couple years, averaged 9 points per game his rookie year, 12 points per game his second year. He was actually the Warriors' fourth leading scorer in 2021, despite only playing 19 minutes a game. So he showed you he had talent.
And then 2022 was just his huge breakout year. He started 51 of 76 games, averaged 18.5 points on almost 45% shooting and 36 from three. He finished fourth in most improved player voting, and he was kind of helping them big time as Clay was kind of ramping up and getting back to himself.
Yeah, he was huge scoring relief for Steph, because you remember the year prior, that was the year Steph averaged 32 points per game and finished third in MVP voting despite his team being the 8th seed and then getting bounced in the play-in. They basically had no one else on that team that could score, and then the next year you get Poole having this big breakout year. By the second half of the season, they had worked Clay back into the rotation. Like, Steph was able to average a much more reasonable 25 points per game and not have to carry the team every single night.
Yeah. In December, he was kind of flipping back between the starting lineup. He had Clay coming back, so the Warriors had that log jam at guard. But he finished the year incredibly strong, especially in March. He balled the hell out, averaged 25 points a game, shot over 44% from three. In April, he regressed a little bit, but he still averaged over 22 points a game. It was insane to see this guy who was a late first-round pick, came to the Warriors, and was the third splash bro. The people were calling him a splash bro.
It's incredible in hindsight.
Right.
Poole played well enough throughout the playoffs. He started well against the Nuggets, but as the playoffs went on, he started to play less and less in each subsequent series, and he was exactly what they needed him to be. He was a spark plug off the bench.
And then in the finals, we had the Jordan Poole baddies meme was born. Hilarious at first, quickly got overplayed, out of control, but it's kind of weird he got that nickname during the finals because he didn't really play that well in the finals. He had that like one deep as hell three, what was it, game 4 or something?
I think it was game 2.
Game 2. That did help them, but besides that, he averaged his lowest minutes played, lowest points per game, lowest rebounds, lowest assists, and he never scored more than 17 points in any of the finals games.
Yeah, it's all these, Jordan Poole turns into prime MJ when the baddies are courtside. Find me the year prime MJ scored 17 points a game.
You're not gonna find it.
No. So the 22 offseason, Poole is coming off winning an NBA championship. He had the best season of his career. He's flying high. Everything's looking hunky-dory. And then Draymond punched him. And look, we have a video from a long time ago. I think it's fair to say in hindsight that Poole has never been the same since this moment.
I think you could say that. I don't know if it was this moment, but it could have been. And what was really interesting about this whole situation was there was a large contingent of people around the NBA that, I don't want to say they blamed Jordan Poole for this, but they kind of almost took Draymond's side.
Yeah, they didn't blame Poole, but they were like, he's not blameless in this scenario, which, I mean, I don't like Jordan Poole. I don't think you ever liked Jordan Poole. I mean, he's a Warrior, so by default, we're not going to like him, but putting that aside, didn't particularly like him, didn't particularly like his personality or his game, but even still, I don't care what he's saying to Draymond, unless he's saying like the worst possible thing like that you can imagine. Like if he's just trash talking, there's no excuse for Draymond punching a teammate in practice. And the fact that they let him off with just a fine was a slap in the face. Or I guess you could say a punch in the face.
Exactly.
to Poole. Like, that's ridiculous.
I mean, really, this was the beginning of the end of the Warriors season. Even then, though, the Warriors still paid up Poole big time. He got a 4-year, $123 million contract extension. Literally one of the worst contracts in the league league right now. And the Warriors, they did not start very well last year.
No, they started poorly. They were 3-7 after 10 games, and Poole kind of became the scapegoat. I mean, he was not shooting well in most games. He had a few incidents on the court, and rumors I remember around this time were just swirling that he had like this out of control ego. He'd gotten a huge head after the 22 finals, and especially after landing that big contract. He was still their third leading scorer, but this was the point that a lot of people were turning against him. And like you mentioned, it didn't help that those stupid Poole playing in front of the baddies memes were inescapable.
I remember there was one moment during the regular season where he took a dumbass shot at the end of the game, and I'm pretty sure Steph threw his mouthpiece. He was so pissed.
The Warriors did end up making the playoffs as the 6th seed, but in the playoffs itself, Poole was bad. He averaged 10 points per game on abysmal shooting. He had that very infamous deep three at the end of game 1 against the Lakers in the second round. Literally, the Warriors are down 3. There's 10 seconds left, and this dude chucks a 35-foot three-pointer with no hesitation whatsoever.
It's Jordan Poole. Of course he would. With Steph Curry on your team on the court, he would take that.
And in the playoffs, I mean, you could see it. His confidence was shattered.
No, he didn't look like the same player whatsoever. He was always a shot chucker. This time he was a shot chucker. He just wasn't making the shot.
He was a shot misser.
Yeah. Coming into the 2023 offseason, it was clear the Warriors had to move on from either Poole or Draymond. Pretty obvious the one they were going to move on from. They weren't going to send out Draymond. He'd been there for so long, built that franchise. So they sent out Jordan Poole to the Wizards, getting back Chris Paul. They also threw in a first-round pick for this, a second-round pick, even some cash, just anything to get rid of this dude.
It's incredible that 1 year prior, they had signed this guy up to a huge contract, and he was the future. And now they have to attach assets to get rid of him.
Yeah, and to be fair, this trade really hasn't worked out well for either teams, but I still think the Warriors are just happy to be off that contract. But for Jordan Poole, it was kind of like a fresh start. Obviously, the Wizards were going to be regardless, but it was his team. You know, he could maybe build the culture or at least put up some decent numbers. I thought he was going to average 20 plus points, you know, on horrible efficiency, but at least have some highlights.
You know what's funny is I'm just now remembering that when we predicted every team's season in 3 words or less, my prediction for the Wizards was Poole redemption arc.
Yeah, I said Poole party. I thought it'd be a good time there for him.
Exactly. Like, they're not going to win games, but he's got his own team. He can chuck a bunch of shots. He can average 25, 30 points per game on 39% shooting. And you know what? Maybe the Wizards can then flip him to a contender to continue their rebuild. So how's the actual season gone? Well, it's just been a series of unfortunate events, I would say.
Literally since the get-go. Like, the regular season hadn't even started yet. It's preseason. He's already pissing off teammates because he's not passing them the ball. He's just hogging that shit. Footage linked. He's not paying attention in huddles, and he's just played absolutely ass this season.
Yeah, he's got one of the lowest shooting percentages in the entire NBA. Just don't bother checking who number 1 on that list is.
Yeah, I don't know who that is. No. It's a guy who will get better and who's young. Let's just say that.
Yeah, and a couple weeks ago, I mean, he got booed at home after scoring 0 points and fouling out against the Cavaliers. He had one of the greatest carries I think I've ever seen against the Pelicans.
Oh my God.
Like, I remember you showed me this, and I could not stop laughing. Like, this was a move that, like, a running back does to switch the ball to their other hand. And the reaction from Herb Jones, he's just like, what the fuck? Like, what is that?
Dude did a crossover without changing hands. Yeah. Amazing. Then the other night, he had that turnover against the Nuggets where one of the funnier turnovers you'll see, inbound the ball. I don't even know how to describe it, to be honest. Inbound the ball, but couldn't touch it, so he's just sitting on the ground.
Yeah, and he got benched for the first time all season against the Nuggets. And look, benching Poole was obviously not going to turn the Wizards season around. So it's just not. But it kind of represented like a new all-time low for Jordan Poole. And on one hand, I kind of feel bad for him because, like we said earlier, this whole downward spiral was started by an incident that he was 100% in the right, and his organization failed him. I mean, imagine you're 22 years old, you go to work, your coworker punches you, and then the organization not only doesn't suspend or fire them, they're like, oh yeah, they can come to the office Christmas party.
Yeah, of course.
Like, they can be around, like nothing's wrong, nothing's going wrong at all. Like, the fact that they didn't do anything to Draymond because, like I've said, God forbid he misread ring night.
Just absolutely crazy. But on the other hand, the dude just has this massive ego problem. He's the player we all hate that just chucks up shots, turns the ball over. He's inefficient, doesn't play defense, doesn't really try that hard, it appears. I mean, clearly in the huddle, you see like the dude is not locked in.
Yeah, he is my least favorite type of NBA player because if he can't score, he offers you nothing else. He can't assist, he can't rebound, he can't play defense. If he's not giving you 25, what does he do for you?
Nothing. And ever since that 2022 finals, it honestly might have been one of the worst things to happen to him because his ego shot through the fucking roof. And even now that he's on the Wizards playing like crap, he kind of is still keeping that same ego, just minus the confidence.
Look, we're not body language experts by any means, but it does not look like his Wizards teammates like him.
No, not at all.
I mean, going forward, look, Poole still has talent. It's undeniable that he has talent. Hell, he just had one of his best games of the season last night, dropping 31 points against the Cavs and hitting 6 threes. But, and this may make us sound like old heads a little bit, the dude needs an ego check.
Absolutely.
Like, he needs someone, whether it's family, friends, you know, former teammates, maybe Steph can ring him up and be like, look, dude, come to practice, play hard every day, maybe try a little bit more on defense, try to ingratiate yourself with your teammates a little bit more. Dude's got to ring up John Cena because he needs an attitude adjustment.
He peaked in 2022 and he's never reaching those heights again.
That's the video, guys. Do you think Jordan Poole can turn it around? I'd love to hear what you have to say in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving it a like, as it really does help us out. And while you're here, why not check out some of our other videos as well? And don't forget to subscribe to Synthetic Sports.